Morning, friends. Ash here, WAT News with a election update. It's November the 14th, 2020, and we have an article here from Gateway Pundit. Did the U.S. raid European software company Scytl, sorry, I can't pronounce it, and seize their servers in Germany? Our intel source says yes, it happened. These cops don't look like U.S. though. They got Polizei on it, so that's foreign cops, but it might just be a stock photo. I don't know if they have it. Actual photo of our troops. Earlier today, Rep. Louis Gohmert told Chris Salcido on Newsmax that people on the ground in Germany report that Scytl, which hosted elections data improperly through Spain, was raided by a large U.S. Army force and their servers were seized in Frankfurt, Germany. The video went viral. Andrea Widberg at American Thinker earlier reported that Scytl is a Barcelona-based company that provides electronic voting systems worldwide, many of which have proven vulnerable to electronic manipulation. Scytl has or had Soros and Democratic Party connections. Microsoft co-founder Paul Allen's Vulcan Capital has invested $40 million in Scytl. Tonight we learned from our source that Bill Gates also owns stock in this company. Let's watch the video here. Let's watch Representative Louis Gohmert from Texas and see what he says.
Election, he needed to just give up. But Scytl, that's a place where all of this information was cycling through. Not supposed to, but it was. And actually, there was a German that, as I was told, there was a tweet in German from Germany that the U.S. Army had gone in and seized the Scytl server. They're going through bankruptcy right now. So there's all kinds of games being played, and I had suggested that the president might get information from Scytl, and the next day before, and I sent him specifics that he needed to get that would show a lot of fraud. And the next day before that information could be gotten, somebody ordered the U.S. Army, according to the tweet, to go in and seize the server. There are people involved inside the government that have been trying to take this president down, State Department, intel community, and FBI, and also.
So you can see it's starting to appear now that between China and possibly now something in this country, is there a foreign element involved in this in some way, either with the ballots, like with China was the allegation that they were printing up fake ballots possibly, and now we have this issue where a server was seized from an overseas company, and we'll have to see how that plays out. Tonight we heard more from our source on this raid. From our source, the U.S. government, once they determined that this Dominion server was involved in switching votes, then the intelligence community began a search for the server and discovered that the server was in Germany. In order to get access to that server and have it available for use in a legal manner, they had to have the State Department work in tandem with the Department of Justice. They had to request that the government of Germany cooperate in allowing this seizure of this server. Wow. The appropriate documents required to effect that kind of seizure were put in place, signed off on, and it appears there was also U.S. military support in this operation. The U.S. military was not in the lead, but this helps explain why Esper was fired and Miller and Kash Patel were put in place, so that the military would not interfere with the operation in any way. By getting a hold of the server, they now are going to have the direct evidence of when they were instructed to stop counting. They will also discover who gave the direction to stop counting and who initiated the algorithm that started switching votes. The CIA was completely excluded from this operation. Trump attorney Lin Wood weighed in on this report today. Biden and his criminal cronies are not going to sleep well tonight. Well, Biden might, because he probably forgot the name. His co-conspirators know the name well. They also know the name Paragon, company which purchased Scytl in 1020. Wow, so this could be a major story here. We have to see how this all plays out. But now it's appearing that, if you have a server that's overseas that's now involved somehow in our election process, and the other issue that came up is at some point during the election night, several states just stopped the vote count in the middle of the evening for no reason. They just stopped. Atlanta said it was because there was a pipe burst, but that turned out to be fake. So now we have this issue where, well, why did you stop the vote count? Was the vote going for Trump so big that you had to stop the vote and start switching it up? That's how they really got caught in this, because this program, when it starts to sense that there's a blowout, because you can't rig a blowout. That's the problem. You can't rig a blowout. You can only rig it if it's close or it's a normal race. If Trump is blowing him out in certain states, then what the computer's going to do is say, holy cow, all these votes are coming in for the other side. I got to start switching them back. And that's how you get caught, because then it becomes obvious, right? If I switch 12,000 votes to somebody over time and in a race, in a small race, you won't see it unless you're looking very closely at all the data drops and the data after. But if nobody is, and it's just a small race and it appears that one guy won easily, then nobody really would notice, right? But this is a whole other ballgame, because you have stuff now. I mean, if you have stuff overseas on a server or voting stuff, what is it doing in another country? What is this server doing there, and is it being used by this company? And is this company now connected to Scytl and all these people? It's starting to look like it might be. I wanted to include this testimony of this gentleman. Computer science professor warned about voting machine security flaws in 2017. And this gentleman's name is Professor Andrew Appel of Princeton University. He spoke to Congress about how electronic voting machines can be easily hacked to manipulate vote counts. Mr. Appel stated in the testimony, and we'll watch that now, so I won't read this part to you. Let's go see what he says. I don't think it's too long.
In this testimony, I don't represent my employer. I'm here to give my own professional opinions as a scientist, but also as an American citizen who cares deeply about protecting our democracy. My research is in software verification, computer security, technology policy, and election machinery. As I will explain, I strongly recommend that, at a minimum, the Congress seek to ensure the elimination of direct recording electronic voting machines, sometimes called touchscreen machines. Installing new software in a voting machine is not really much different from installing new software in any other kind of computer. Installing new software is how you hack a voting machine to cheat. In 2009, in the courtroom of the Superior Court of New Jersey, I demonstrated how to hack a voting machine. I wrote a vote-stealing computer program that shifts votes from one candidate to another. Installing that vote-stealing program in a voting machine takes 7 minutes per machine with a screwdriver. I did this in a secure facility, and I'm confident my program has not leaked out to affect real elections. But really, the software I built was not rocket science. Any computer programmer could write the same code. Once it's installed, it could steal elections without detection for years to come. Voting machines are often delivered to polling places several days before the election, to elementary schools, churches, firehouses. In these locations, anyone could gain access to a voting machine for 10 minutes. Between elections, the machines are routinely opened up for maintenance by county employees or private contractors. Let's assume they have the utmost integrity. But still, in the U.S., we try to run our elections so that we can trust the election results without relying on any one individual. Other computer scientists have demonstrated similar hacks on many models of machine. This is not just one glitch in one manufacturer's machine. It's the very nature of computers. So how can we trust our elections when it's so easy to make the computers cheat? 40 states already know the answer. Vote on optical scan paper ballots. So what must we do? In the near term, we must not connect the voting machines to the internet. The same goes for those computers used to prepare the electronic ballot definition files before each election that are used to program the voting machines. That is, we must not connect the voting machines even indirectly to the internet. Many able and competent election administrators already follow this best practice. I hope that all 9,000 or 10,000 counties and states that run elections follow this practice and other security best practices, but it's hard to tell whether they do consistently. So what we must do as soon as possible after November is to adopt nationwide what 40 states have already done: paper ballots, marked by the voter, countable by computer, but recountable by hand.
So that's a good video. You could see how, we have a problem, right? 40 of the states have already done it, but 10 haven't. And now how many states are we dealing with, that are left trying to deal with this problem? And of those 10, are any of those 10 states? We don't know that right now, but kind of an interesting article, right? And of course, he says don't connect it to the internet, which is a no-brainer, because if it's anywhere near the internet, somebody could get into it and then start to affect it with the GEMS program if they know how to hack and they know how to use it. That's the issue. And they never fixed this problem. And if you have a overseas company that's now hosting, I don't know, data overseas outside of our country, then how can we know the security of it? This is a Newsmax article. Michigan court rejects request to block Detroit election certification results. Michigan State Court rejected on Friday a request by supporters of President Trump to block the certification of votes and appoint an independent auditor in Detroit, which voted heavily in favor of Democrat Joe Biden. The ruling is a setback for Trump and Republicans who have been trying to overturn Biden's apparent victory in the November 3rd election by preventing officials from certifying election results. It would be an unprecedented exercise of judicial activism for this court to stop the certification process of the Wayne County Board of Canvassers, wrote Timothy Kenny, Chief Judge. The lawsuit alleged fraud and voting irregularities, which Wayne County has denied. The judge rejected those allegations, writing, quote, plaintiff's interpretation of events is incorrect and not credible. So it's one side saying, no, we don't think it's correct, and the other side saying, well, we have all this evidence, and here's the evidence we have. We have people with suitcases walking into certain places. We have poll watchers not able to watch the count correctly and things like that. I also heard a disturbing rumor, if the Newsmax is right, that the vote count going on, the hand count in Georgia, there's only one Republican poll watcher per 10 tables. So if one guy's got to watch 10 tables of counters, I don't know how he's going to do that. And there seems to be a pattern here in many states where Republican poll watchers are either being not allowed in or they're being put in areas where they cannot see. And this, from what I could tell, is going on in multiple states. And if that's the case, then somebody has to remedy that, because you're breaking the law by not allowing a poll watcher within 6 feet to watch the counting of the ballots. They're legally allowed to be there. And you will also, I've heard, have law enforcement that are not allowing them in. So again, the police aren't enforcing the law that in these states, and I don't know who's supposed to, but you got a big problem. There's no new news on the numbers. Everything's staying pretty much the same. 11,000 down still in Arizona. 36,000 down in Nevada. Georgia's going to do this recount. We'll have to see how that works out. I don't know. And there's no other movement. So, we're just right now kind of in a waiting stage. We're going to see how long it takes to get to the Supreme Court, I guess. Saw this interesting article in Zero Hedge. Trump must out the deep state. I think Tyler Durden's got this wrong. He says that booting Mark Raytheon Esper after the fact simply highlights this fact that Trump, the president himself, doesn't know, since he failed to purge the palace, then embarked on the palace coup that has seemingly toppled him. I don't see it this way. I think Trump's operating procedure is always the same. If he knows you're bad, and he will know, because he's a good reader of people. It's not about, he knows who's bad and who's good. The point is, why would you leave someone like McMaster in place, right? Who is a bad seed? Well, because I want to watch what you're doing. I want to watch who you talk to. I want to watch who you communicate with, so I can find out what you're really doing. And that's what he did. It's like keep your friends close and your enemies closer. It's the same thing. He knows who's bad and who's good. And what he's doing now is all these guys, all these politicians who are saying, hey, welcome Biden in, they're the bad seeds. He knows that, especially the ones in his own party that are saying it. So that's what he does. He waits for you to make your move and out yourself. So he doesn't have to go looking for you. He knows who you are already. He knows who Brennan is. He knows who all these people are. He knew who they were the second he got in. And what he did was, in a masterful way, he played these people every single step of the way, and they fell into every single trap that he set for them. Because if you follow the CUE board, what does he say? These people are stupid. They kind of are, some of them. They're not very smart tacticians, let's just put it like that. This is a long game, and it's a game where you got to play every single step out all the way to the end before you figure out what you're going to do. Because these guys have 5 different moves they could do. You got to plan for every move they're going to make. I mean, think about it. Obama, when Trump first gets in, you get the ex-president who's basically setting up his own cabinet on the side, trying to, for 4 years, mess around with you. So this has been anything but a peaceful transition. It's been a war footing for these people. As soon as he got in, and even before he was in, it was a war footing for them. So, the fact that the Democrats are now asking everybody to accept this result that's not even been certified yet and rushing through the process just shows their desperation in my mind. And on a separate note, they just put the 5G in across the street from where I live here in New York. They're in these gray boxes. If you look up by the street lights, they're a gray box. And I noticed something interesting, that the pigeons are all flying around this thing, very close to it. And they never used to hang out in that area. And I noticed that, I remember someone saying that when the Tesla tech comes out, that the birds all fly around this house again when there was no 5G around there. So I'm just curious. I don't know. I haven't felt sick or anything, but we only got it put in yesterday. But I did notice that the pigeons are all flying around there. And I would think that if the pigeons, if it was the bad 5G, and I even asked the guy, I said to the guy, hey, is this the good 5G or the bad 5G? And he kind of gave me a smirk and he said, what do you mean? I said, hey, are we going Tesla tech? And he laughed. So, these guys know the deal. I think they switched out the bad 5G right before they were about, because Trump knew they were about to start putting it in. And I had seen a lot of phone guys around this neighborhood where I am in different parts of the city doing stuff. So I think that I think they may have even put the bad infrastructure in and then they had to take it all out, or it never got put in. I don't know. But I don't know. I think the 5G is all right but we'll have to see how that all plays out because they just put it in here. So anyway, we'll see how everything plays out, guys. You can see there's a massive mechanism in the way. Trump's got to make his move, but what's he going to do? When's he going to play the Trump card, He's got a couple different things up his sleeve, I know it. So see how everything plays out, but this overseas thing is a big deal, man. If that server was seized overseas in Germany, we'll have to see how that plays out. So with that, I hope you're well. Have a wonderful day, and I will update you if any more information comes out. This is Ash at WAT News signing off.